each other.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for meeting with me today,
Yep.
and I appreciate you going through this whole process.
No problem.
What we're going to do today is we're going to talk about what you're going to teach.
Okay.
How are you going to teach it?
Okay.
Instructional materials or supports, resources, things
Okay.
like that.
Super.
Okay. So if you want to start by just talking to me about what the lesson's going to be about, what's it going to look like when I come in to observe next Tuesday?
All right. I am starting Unit 2, Week 1, Day 1 of our new Benchmark Literacy program. We have 2 strategies that we're focusing on since it's the start of a new unit. The comprehension strategy will be to analyze a character, and then the metacognitive strategy will be to visualize. When you come in next week, you will first see me doing a 10-minute read aloud with a picture book, a fiction picture book, and at that time the students and I will be practicing the metacognitive strategy of visualizing, where I will be modeling with the students what it means and what am I thinking as I'm reading the book, a think aloud. Then after the picture book, the read aloud, there will be a 20-minute mini lesson where I will discuss with them about analyzing a character, where we will have posters, where we will talk about what we see going on in the poster and what the character is doing. These are both whole group lessons, and that will be about the 30-minute lesson.
Okay. And then after that whole group is when they go into the smaller groups.
Yep.
Generally.
Once we go from our whole group lesson, then we divide into mini group lessons where we are into stations. And one station is a listening station, another station is meeting with the teacher, another station is working on word work, and then the last station that they have is a read yourself station. And they kind of rotate between those 4 in that 60-minute period.
It sounds like that's part of like that 5 literacy.
Yep, daily 5.
The daily 5.
Yes, we do a combination of the breakthrough literacy program, and then we also implemented the daily 5.
Okay.
As part of their stations.
Okay, all right, that sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Can you briefly describe the students in the class, including some of your special groups, special needs, some things in there?
I have 26 students. I have 1 ELL student, and I would say a majority of the group is, I have a very strong, solid top group. I only have 1 student who goes for reading resource help, and she is receiving extensive, I would say intensive reading resource help. Other than my 1 ELL student and my 1 reading resource, everyone else is on grade level.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Nice. They are a challenging group as far as trying to keep up with their needs too, as far as being top students, high achieving students as well, though.
So you're doing more planning for when they get it faster than you expect.
Yes, because they catch on very quickly. Yeah, I'm trying to keep them busy.
Okay. Let me see. How about some of your subgroups, or what kind of ethnic breakup do you have in there?
Boy.
Because I know some of that's part of what the district is focusing on, looking at meeting the needs of different subgroups and looking at the whole group. And
well, I can't speak to the low SES. I'm not sure exactly what those numbers are in my room. Again, if we're looking at different races, I just have the 1 ethnic group, which would be Hispanic, which would be my ESL student, my ELL student. Other than that, in regards to boy-girl ratio, I've got 13-13. I'm split as well.
Wow.
So that has never happened. I've never had more girls.
You've got a high group and a 13-13.
Yeah, kind of crazy. Other than that, I can't really speak to that part of that.
I think that sounds good. It gives a good mix of what's going on with the resource, ELO, and your distribution. And 26, am I remembering correctly that is your cap?
Yeah, 26 is as large as K through 3 classrooms can be. I do have 1 student. This would be kind of something that's out of the norm as far as classroom routine. Right. I have a student that comes over from Mrs. Yokiel's 2nd grade classroom. He reads at a level Q, and so he fits into my level Q reading group. Okay. Because I had a group of 5, he became 6. So that's one way that our cross classrooms are helping each other meet their needs.
Oh, very good. Okay. Is that, by the way, the student that we're meeting about next?
No.
Okay, that's a different one. Okay.
That's a different situation. He's not even in the room for math or
reading. Okay, because like that student is also split grade levels?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's also another unique situation as well. Yes.
Okay.
So when the one student is in from the second grade classroom, I'm a 26 at reading. But when my other student's out of the room, I'm 25.
Okay.
It just depends what time of the day you come in. I'm fluctuating between 25 and 26.
Well, that's definitely addressing our Iowa standards with flexibility.
Yes, it is. And it shows that our staff is really a collaborative group. We're willing to look beyond the traditional classroom to help others' needs and meet the needs of our students. Absolutely.
Okay, and I think you told me a little bit about when we did the preview what the goals are for the lesson, and let me just recap. It sounds like the comprehension goal is analyzing a character, is that correct?
Yep.
And then the metacognitive goal is visualization.
Yes, absolutely.
And, and it asks us, why are these goals suitable for this group of students?
Good question.
Right.
Well, that is a very good question. Why are these suitable?
Maybe it would be more useful to talk about the pacing. What is it that they've already done? What's some of the background that they've done leading up to this?
Well, and I think that was the purpose for the district getting a program that was being used by all, that was same throughout the district. Because we were finding that when you went from a classroom or to a grade level from one building to a different building, we were all receiving different instruction. I'm not sure what these guys were receiving. I know that Daily 5 was pretty consistent through our building, so these kiddos definitely know what the listening station, word work, they are familiar with those terms. I know that last year I was definitely teaching visualization, but not analyzing characters. So they might come in from their first grade teachers. Maybe they might come in with some visualization background. I'm not sure about analyzing character. That would be a new one. We just finished up with main idea, and that was tough. Because usually that's a skill we hold until the end of the year, and we hit it headstrong on at the beginning of the year. So that was tricky too for them. I think they'll get the visualization because they've heard me use making pictures in my mind, and they understand identifying main character in a story and the supporting characters. But I'm not sure that we've ever dove into analyzing them.
Okay, and then, but it seems to follow logically that they just did main idea, that then they're kind of ready for this, even though it's a little more. But both of these are kind of some higher order thinking skills as well.
Oh, for sure.
And for October of second grade.
Yes, definitely higher order thinking skills, for sure.
All right, and so we just talked about how these goals support the district's curriculum. We talked about the new benchmark literacy program and the need for uniformity and having some structure.
Yes.
And the Iowa teaching standards. Let's see. Let's take a look at some of those. Which ones did you choose so far that it was hitting for you?
Well, I looked at all the standards and I kind of circled the ones I felt best. If we're just looking at the academic portion of it, not so much the classroom component of it, as far as classroom management is concerned, I definitely felt like with Standard 1, you're going to be seeing me implementing strategies that support the student building and district goals.
Like obviously,
the adoption of this curriculum was a big need. I also think that you're going to see that I used data from my assessments at the beginning of the year to decide what reading groups. So letter C under Standard 1 uses students' performance data to guide decision making as far as reading groups, the small groups.
Right.
I also think that Standard 1, letter D, accepts and demonstrates responsibility for creating a classroom culture that supports learning of every student. Also, the mutual respect that you will see in the classroom as well, as long as and including participating and contributing to a school's culture that focuses on the improved student learning. Under Standard 2. For sure, using the knowledge of students to make learning experiences more meaningful. Right. And definitely using instructional strategies that are appropriate for this content. Under Standard 3, I definitely think you're going to see the use of the district curriculum in planning for instruction as well. And just like you mentioned at the beginning of that too, about the student achievement data. Yep, absolutely. I also think that under Standard 3, letter B, letter C, and letter D are applicable too. Setting high expectation, using their backgrounds and interests for planning, and definitely selecting strategies that engage all learners.
Okay. And
under Standard 4, talking about delivery.
And it looks like it echoes a lot of things that we just were picking up in the other ones.
And then for Standard 5, classroom assessment, assessment. We do have some assessments that go along with this week 1 that I will be using, but you won't be there to see that part of it. That comes later on in the week. And, using those assessments to plan for instruction. And giving timely feedback to the students. When they're in those small groups with me, letting them know how they're doing. Are they making that connection between the mini lesson and what's going on with small group?
And you're constantly doing that formative assessment and making those adjustments.
Teacher observation, absolutely.
I think, aren't your the small groups, those are fluid, aren't they, somewhat? If you need to pull somebody, or you can adjust as needed.
Absolutely, yep.
And that's part of what those stations are designed to do, too, is to individualize some of the learning.
Yep, and then, when they're in that read to self, they're choosing books that are at their level. When they're doing the listening station, they're listening to stories that are at their level. I mean, they're all differentiated somehow.
Okay, great. Sounds really good.
And then I think the rest of the standards kind of just lead into more classroom management.
That's one thing I've seen is, like, it looks like a lot of, even though I'm new to some of the Iowa standards and applying it seems to reiterate, the different places about we're planning to use the assessment, we're using the assessment, and then afterwards we're assessing.
Absolutely. I would agree.
Okay. How do these goals relate to broader curriculum goals and the disciplines as a whole or in other disciplines? We did talk about that a bit in the beginning. I'm trying to think. To the broader curriculum goals, and I know it goes with some of the district curriculum, and it also is, we talked about the Daily 5, the benchmark literacy, and the disciplines as a whole, or how it connects to some of the other disciplines. We talked about what they did last year and the building background right before this. And I guess it also relates to our biggest goals, about improving student achievement and the reading grades and getting them ready for AYP for 4th grade and the district improvement in the subgroups and everything. So,
absolutely.
How do you plan to engage students in the content?
Well, with the new BL program, it really is great. We have this new technology with the Minios.
Is that what I was seeing earlier today?
Well, and with the BL website, the new Benchmark Universe website, it really makes it smooth. I'm not having to put this, you'll be seeing me use a poster. I don't have to put this poster on my easel. Instead, I can use the new Benchmark Universe website that has interactive whiteboard. So I can put it through the projector, put it on the screen, and it will read it to us. We can use the stylus, and we can really get in there and write all over it. So having those kinds of tools, truly technology engages kids. And it really gets them paying attention a little bit more, and they're all excited about using the little stylus. So having the posters, using the internet, having the Mimeo, having those kinds of those little techie tools will definitely engage them. The kinds of questions that will be asked will also engage the kids, and having those kind of other instructional strategies like turn and talk will have the students involved with the lesson instead of just me doing all the talking.
Well, I think sometimes the read aloud itself can be engaging.
Yes.
Because, and depending on what their background is, but a lot of kids just like having those stories, and the modeling too, but the stories read with expression, and getting them into that and helping them learn what the movie will sound like in their head.
Yes, exactly. I also enjoy using anchor charts to kind of get them involved, or we did share writing last week, so yes, definitely what you're saying is true.
Okay. What difficulties do students typically experience in this area, and how do you plan to anticipate some of them?
I think the difficulty I experience is just managing classroom behaviors. Even though this group I have this year are a bunch of top kiddos, we have a lot of behavior issues. And so I have a lot of students who have difficulties staying engaged and focused. And I feel like I have to use a lot of proximity, or I have to use eye cues, or just
in redirection,
exactly what you saw a little bit of that this afternoon,
right, with the one
like a little wiggly, yes. So I think that is what the trouble I have the most. Now, when it comes to reading that picture book, no joke, they will be all over it like nobody's business. They love being read to. Truly, it's the quietest 10 minutes of my day. I worry, the mini lesson is where I always worry the most. So,
because that's when you're introducing the content, and it's something new. And
it's such an important part, the piece of what we're going to be working on all week long.
And at least it's just a mini lesson and not the old-fashioned lesson that would go on, and then you'd lose kid at the time.
Yes.
All right.
I wish I wish I could put a poster in each of their hands, or I wish I could put a book in their hands, but sometimes there is a reason for whole group lessons, and then there are.
And it is training them.
It is training them. It is. You're right.
Okay, and then let's see, instructional materials and resources. We kind of talked about that. We talked about our engagement, about some of the different resources that we'll use. And the great thing is there are better things than what we can attach to this paper, even if we wanted to. Let's see. How do we plan to assess student achievement of these goals? What procedures will we be using?
Yeah, there is a let me refresh my memory.
I know you said we started that there'd be assessments later on the week that I wouldn't be able to observe.
Yes, and there will be a comprehension quick check where they will read a passage, and then they will have to answer a few questions about it, and that's done once each week. And then there will also be some sort of a written response in the form of a graphic organizer that they will do about a character, going back to that, analyzing the character, and then I will collect that and use that piece to go into their portfolio. And that will become something I use to fill out their PPR, their progress report card.
Okay, and we also talked already about some of the formative assessment and informal assessments that are going on all the time when you're pulling them into groups.
Yes.
Okay, and we just talked a little bit too about how we plan to use the results of your assessment. You said through the portfolio and the PPRs.
Well, I will also take this information to my PLC group. And being that this is a first-year program, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of assessments that we're not exactly sure about what's the best way to use this. So I will definitely be taking that to my PLC and making decisions from there about what to do with that information. It definitely would be a piece I would share at conferences with parents. It could be a piece that if I'm seeing a consistent pattern with performance on assessments that I could take to our building team, our BAT team, our building assessments team, where if I'm seeing a student who's truly struggling, that information could be used for possible ideas for that student later on, as far as SPED, or if there was a
intervention assistance.
Deeper issue there.
All right, let's see. We talked about vision, our grouping, our strategies. Let's see. Is there anything that you really want me to look for specifically while I'm in there?
Sure. I always worry too much that I might call in the same kids.
Okay.
So I wouldn't mind a count. Sometimes I worry about that. I don't know if that's one of the things I should say down here.
No, it's good, because you want to be sure that you're equitably calling on all people, that you're not focusing on one side of the classroom or another, or certain kids, or just hand-raised kids and things like that.
Yes. I think that I do a great job of classroom management. I would like you to look at that as well. Something I really work hard on all year long with them. And I just want, make sure too that you notice how I try to incorporate the learning targets, because here at Fairmeadows, I don't know if as you were walking through our classrooms, if you noticed, it's so important that we make sure the kids feel like they understand their goal, their purpose throughout the lesson. And I would love if you would like to go around and say, so tell me about what you're learning today, and see what kind of results you get. Because I tell them all the time. What if Dr. Moorhead came in here and said, what are you learning about? What will your response be? So, yeah.
All right. That sounds good. In fact, that's kind of what we're doing with some of the mini lessons. And like one of the kids, we're saying, how do you know which group you go to? Well, it's the group I always go to. And you may not be able to articulate, but you can see by what they're doing.
Yes.
Okay, so just to reiterate, I'll be watching for how you're calling on kids. So you're calling on the same kids, more boys and girls and boys, ones that raise their hands, things like that. Classroom management, and see how all that's kind of going together. And incorporating the learning targets. If the kids feel like, make sure the kids feel like they're knowing what they're learning about. Okay. And so I guess for that, probably one of the strategies I'll use is more of a global scan, because I'll be looking for all, focusing on each of these pieces. But like today, I was just focusing on which questions you asked. Yeah. It's almost too narrow for the things that we're looking for here.
Yes.
All right, well, sounds good. And so next Tuesday at 10:20 in the morning.
Yep.
And we'll go from there. I'm very excited to see how it goes.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, and